coast to coast, it's your hosts, the Lombardi Leap and Mersey FB. This is Beyond the Frozen Tundra.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, the Lombardi Leap, here with Mercy FB. Let's talk Packers football. Specifically, we're going to look at some trench talent for the frontline fixes here because we've had some issues on the offensive line, and now Devontae Wyatt's unfortunate injury to the defensive line has kind of added some stress on there as well.
Yeah, I think they're it's a good we're in the middle ground between not super necessary and like dire needs. I don't know how you would describe that. Urgent, maybe?
Yeah, I would say that it's kind of like yellow alert. Is that kind of
Yeah, I think right now I have more concern about the defensive tackle room than the offensive line. That's just because Tom and Banks are coming back healthy.
Yeah, Common Banks are coming back healthy. Both of them did practice today, which was awesome to see. Belton did not. Anthony Belton did not practice today as well. This is being recorded on Monday, October 6th. So they just got their practice back from the bye week.
Hope Hopefully they Matt LaFleur whipped a fire under them, but
Yeah, to kind of hey protect your quarterback, kind of a thing. I mean, I know we're talking about offensive line here, so I think we should just kind of get right into the offensive line targets here. I mean, we already saw them trade for Darren Kennard for like what was that, a sixth from the Eagles?
a future sixth, yeah.
Future six, yeah, yeah. Which was that was I feel like that was a great pickup. I'm not quite ready to say, hey, this is done, even with some people coming back, just because of Sean Ryan. I know people are like, well, Sean Ryan's been the most consistent, but even that consistency has been pretty poor, and he doesn't really fit the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I get what you mean. And then Kennard, who would slide back into right guard, hopefully. A bit more of a powerful player, though, there than what you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, with it's going to depend on Anthony Belton's health. I mean, I wish they would keep. I hope they keep Kennard at right guard and just start training Belton. Or sorry, I hope they keep Kennard at right tackle, and then I'd like to see them start training Belton for right guard
Hmm.
because I think that's what they are going to do here in the future, which kind of does put a question mark on who would they trade for here if the plan is to move Felton to right guard, because you kind of have to look at it. If I'm going to trade for a guy, is he just going to be depth now in the future, or is he going to be somebody who I think I can maybe like reclaim to be a starter?
Yeah. Who is your top target then for this?
I mean, so if I had to pick one guy who's in a dysfunctional franchise right now, I would easily say, just kind of based on what's been going on with the Raiders. I mean, Jackson Powers Johnson is probably my first pick, and I loved him coming out. I think he's a center through and through, and the Raiders are just mismanaging it like on a weekly basis. I mean, he did get to start this past week and the week before that, but the 2 weeks prior to that, he was a healthy scratch.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a very weird thing. Like, and there's a lot of stuff that are coming that came out by some pretty prominent Raiders writers that Pete Carroll has said you're never going to play center as long as I'm here, among other stuff like that, just to kind of further the rift between Jackson Powers Johnson and the coaching staff there. And then who's their offensive coordinator? Chip Kelly?
Chip
Chip
Kelly, yeah.
Kelly, yeah. So Chip Kelly made some kind of like quote unquote joking comments about his ego, about Jackson Powers Johnson's ego. And I'm one of those kind of people like I don't care if you have an ego as long as you can back it up. And he really has been able to back up. Like whenever he stepped in at center, he's very smart. I know that one of the biggest complaints about him, and I can argue about that, and I could agree with you to a point, is that he can rely on his athleticism a little bit too much at times to get away with stuff.
Very much a bully type of offensive lineman. Just kind of move you around and not.
But it's kind of funny that he does that because the technique is still there, you know. So I would, if I
Yeah.
were them, if I were the Packers, I would call him tomorrow. I would call them. I'd be bothering them every day and seeing what you can get and seeing what you have to give up for him. Just because you could bring him in, you could move Elton Jenkins to right guard, and he can finish out his career there, where with the Packers, because I don't expect him to be with us next year. And then your offensive line, left to right, would look like Rasheed Walker rotating with Jordan Morgan, Aaron Banks at left guard, Jackson Powers Johnson at center, right guard Elton Jenkins, right tackle Zach Tom. I think that solves your entire interior issue right then and there.
hmm And so, what draft class was Jackson Powers Johnson again?
He's this is his second year of his contract. He wasn't drafted by this organization, or he wasn't drafted by this current staff of the organization. The other coaching staff liked him a lot more than
hmm
clearly the current staff. So you have kind of that to kind of use as a bargaining chip. I mean, we've seen the Raiders cut a bunch of players already too in an effort to and trade for players that they wanted, like Geno Smith, and they're 1-4 because of it right now, I believe.
Definitely a culture building year for Pete Carroll there. I see what you mean by bringing him in to play center, and then you're able to free up Elton Jenkins to play a more natural position for him. Then you would have your right and left side of the offensive line pretty much set as long as everyone stays healthy.
And even if somebody did get hurt though, like your depth there is
You'd have Morgan there for more versatility,
yeah.
and Ryan if like an interior goes down.
Yeah, I'm a lot more comfortable with where things are at. And you probably have like the Packers depth is pretty solid, but in general, you'd probably have the easily a top 3 offensive line in terms of quality, overall quality for depth as well, compared to a lot of these other teams who are very much struggling this year.
That is true.
I mean, when it comes to the reality of Jackson Powers Johnson, though,
Yeah, what do you think he'll cost? That's the big one.
he's a second, I would say, like maybe a third or fourth, and I would be okay with that because you're gonna probably take one anyways in the next draft.
Yeah, you're gonna take a center with a high pick, maybe, depending on how the board falls. So
At least I know Jackson Powers Johnson can play in the NFL.
yeah.
That's my big thing. But I mean, right now I'm like 50-50 with him maybe getting traded. I'd say probably closer to 40% likelihood of him getting traded right now.
hmm
I think one guy who well, I think there's like 2 teams out there right now specifically they're going to be getting progressive that are getting progressively closer and closer to a fire sale, and that's the Giants and especially the Saints. And so what are your thoughts on like Evan Neal and Trevor Penning?
Am I allowed to go back to pre-draft analysis for this?
You can go back to whatever you like.
Okay. I thought that I'll start with Evan Neal. Exceptional player in college. Good enough to obviously get drafted. What, top 4? Like he was like a 4th overall pick or something.
Yeah, I mean yeah,
2021.
I know he's at least a top 10 pick.
Yeah, quite high pick. And so amazing pass protector. Don't know what happened in the NFL. I think they changed something with like his technique. Maybe I think over these years of struggles with the Giants that he lost confidence, and then that has led to his decrease in play. But he's still hyper athletic.
He's a big dude too.
He's a big dude.
And like, how would you feel about him moving to the interior then for us? Because I mean, that's probably the place they want to shore up the most.
Probably. I think what you would want with Evan Neal too is kind of do the Mekhi Becton revival with him.
Oh yeah, that worked out very well for him.
Yeah, you play him inside at guard, let him kind of get his feet under him a little more, and then you'll have definitely a serviceable guard. Also, Still, I believe he still has his elite athleticism. I'm stumbling over my words here. Yikes.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's like, it's been kind of weird because he was known for his pass protection, but in the NFL, he's been a lot better of a run blocker, especially.
Yeah, that's usually the case with most offensive linemen. Also, I believe in college he was playing left tackle, and then in the NFL they swapped him over to a right tackle, and he was doesn't always work. Notably, too, like Joe Alt struggled a little with it, which is insane because it's Joe Alt when the Chargers asked him to do that. But I think you get him back into a system that he'll feel comfortable. You get him comfortable in it. Bring him in as a guard. Have him play on the inside. If he's asked to kind of train him back outside again,
Basically, you're making him the movable piece along the offensive line.
you're making him like the chess piece along the offensive line. And one more thing, kind of like to defend Evan Neal too, is he's used to playing on the Bama offensive line. Yeah, Jaden Roberts was on that team as a freshman. They had J.C. Latham, Davion Cohen, Emil Ekayor. I don't think I'm pronouncing that right, but he was good in college too. Yeah, so he did play with pretty good players on that offensive line, is the point I'm trying to hammer home
Yeah,
here.
especially compared to what.
He had it with the Giants, especially with Andrew Thomas in and out with injury.
Yeah, and it's kind of a dysfunctional coaching staff. What do you think it would cost to trade for him? I can't imagine it would be
It wouldn't be anything high
like, I would say maybe like a sixth.
at the most.
I mean, Kennard was traded for a future six, so and I mean, I know Evan Neal has that draft pedigree.
But that draft pedigree is like staring at him with rose colored glasses because it's been a while. They pick up his
I
option.
don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Mm.
No. Yeah,
He's expensive too, right?
ye-
Just because of the draft position.
yeah. His his contract might be. I
Or because
mean,
it's the
okay, it's not too bad actually.
no. What's the number?
Okay,
Hit me.
7.8 mil,
Yeah, that's like 3/4 of our available cap space this year.
but it's not that expensive now. It'd be less than that because of how many games in we are.
Oh, true.
So if you were to trade for him, there is 13 weeks left. We'll say right now. We'll say next week. So we'll say 12 weeks left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 5 mil, 5.2 mil would be.
That's it's not bad.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's definitely not bad. It's just a matter of like, do you think he can come in and beat Sean Ryan like for a guard spot?
Easily, probably.
And yeah, I think that's a good way to spend 5 mil then. Now Trevor Penning, how do you feel about him?
I think he is better as a guard than a tackle.
Would you prefer him over Evan Neal or
I'd prefer Evan Neal over Trevor Penning. I remember prior to the draft for Trevor Penning's year, I remember him being the concern with him was he was a little handsy. Also got beat a little easy too sometimes, or he was lazy. He had a tendency to throw his rushers into the QB, just kind of like throw the defender past him onto the ground
as a tackle, right?
as a tackle. Yeah.
And I know he's played at guard here a little bit, and he seemed to really pick up at guard versus tackle for
Mm-hmm.
sure. And I think that again, like kind of based on where he's at with his contract and such,
Also a first round pick.
also a first round pick. I believe he was top 10 as well, right? Or at least top 15.
No, he was top 20. I think they picked at 17 that year.
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah, because there's only. I mean, his contract is easy. That'd be like his contract would be easy to fit in because you
Easier
right.
than Evan Neal.
Yes, yeah, easier than Evan Neal. You'd be looking at so his full year contract for 2025. 'Cause he is
Mm-hmm.
he's a free agent after this year. It would be
Right.
his full contract for 2025 is 4.5 mil.
Okay. They declined his option, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, use 2022 draft. It was him. Like I think I view him similarly as like less upside Peter Skoronsky, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like you hope to get like 70% of what you got out of Peter Skoronsky out of Trevor Penning.
I mean, for that price, for the price tag that's left over, I mean, I'm pretty sure it'd only be like 2 mil to trade for him as well. And I think the Saints are getting to the point where they're going to be more willing to move on with some of their veteran players because they are starting to
They
realize
need to
that.
get young and cheap quick.
Yeah.
So any draft capital will help them.
Yeah, a multifaceted rebuild year. And he could play multiple positions too as well, because we know that there is that versatility thing.
Quick note before we move on, just with Penning and Neal. I'm not sure how confident I am right now in our offensive line coaching staff with for them to be the best fit here. Like if we had I know that they've both worked with Duke Manyweather in the past, offensive line guru. If we had him on staff here or someone like Jeff Stoutland, but since Adam Stenovich is our offensive coordinator now, and how the offensive line has played of late with Luke Butkus, and I'm not entirely sure that they'd be our best fit just off of like coaching and development.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, and that just kind there does seem to be a disconnect between Stenovich, Butkus, and Matt Lafleur. Hopefully, they kind of
Hmm.
fix it over the bye week here, and just kind of like I'm gonna hit a couple guys here, just a little bit more.
Yeah, go for Tevin Jenkins, and then I can hit one more that I really want, or two more that I kind of want to talk about, and then you can round out the rest of the offensive line.
Yeah, like Drew Scruggs. I looked
Oh
at
yeah,
him. I did like him, but he's small. He's 6'3", 308.
yeah,
Like
quite
he's
tiny.
yeah, quite 20. He's not much of a mauler. He's not much of a mauler like some of the bigger linemen. I think this would be more of a center fit for the Packers than it would be a guard fit. So again, you'd be moving Jenkins out to right guard and kind of shifting the offensive line there.
What
This
did
is
Myers weigh? Bigger than 308, eh? Like
Josh.
he
Yeah,
was
Well,
six.
Josh Myers was
He's
six
a
five.
bigger dude. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
like Josh Myers was 6'5", but Jacob Monk is like 6'2", 6'3" ish right now as well.
Yeah, so like Drew Scruggs is more of the Jacob Monk build.
Hmm. Yeah, so that's why I'm saying he'd definitely be more of a center. And right now he's rotating at guard for the Texans because that's just what the Texans are doing. They're facing a multifaceted O line rebuild. Um, like I said, Tevin Jenkins, he's a former second round pick for the Bears, moved from OT to guard, and has looked way better. Like the night and day difference better at guard. Probably one of the best, probably one of the best backup guards in the NFL right now, especially when he's healthy. And that's kind of the biggest what if here is that can he stay healthy? Because he's dealt with a lot of injuries. And that's why the Browns ended up like the Browns were trying to get him back, but they just ended up letting him go. And so he signed a very, very small contract with the Browns. And like obviously he's the backup there right now. Has looked good when he's played. I I honestly I wouldn't mind looking at this because this I mean you're talking you could probably get him for like a condition for like a seventh basically.
That'd be the same price I'd offer the Giants.
I mean a
Evan
lot of
Neal.
these yeah a lot of these guys are going to be a seventh around a seventh round pick for
Hmm.
sure. And like I know that you probably want to talk about Van Pran and
I
the other
do want
guys.
to talk about Van Pran and the other center option, but you got to get through Tevin Jenkins first.
Yeah, so I won't butcher those names for you. But like Tevin Jenkins, I wouldn't mind giving him a call, giving the Browns a call as well for him. I think that would be he could slide in at right guard, and then you still have depth there to play just in the event that he does get injured, and you're barely giving up anything for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. The Browns don't. Browns famously this year have no offensive line depth. So would they be willing to give up one of their depth pieces?
They have no tackle depth. That's their issue.
Mm.
That's been kind of the biggest thing is they've had multiple injuries at tackle, but their guards have been like their guards have been pretty solid. And then I think too, it doesn't really matter if you're the Browns at this point because you're not going anywhere. Like you're not,
True.
and you're gonna have some salary cap decisions next year. Which, if you didn't check out our last episode, go ahead and check it out. We looked at cornerbacks and we talked about Greg Newsom.
Yeah, we did a long conversation about that one.
Yeah. So I do think the Browns are kind of in a position where they're going to try and accumulate as much flexibility as they can moving forward, as well as any picks that they can get, whether they're seventh or something like that, just to kind of round out the pieces that they're going to have to get rid of here. Let's talk about Cedric Van
All
Pran.
right. So, time to move on. Yeah. Cedric Van Pran Granger, Georgia standout center. He was the center for 3 years, starting center for 3 years. That's got to mean something.
Especially at Georgia.
Especially at Georgia. Rarely ever made a mistake, like false start, bad snaps. Didn't really let much pressure past him either. I watched most of these games, so he was solid. Like legitimately, if you describe Cedric Van Pran in one word, it is solid. But of course, he was a 5th-round pick by the Bills in 2023. Didn't really have that athleticism as much. I feel like that was his thing that he's slightly limited in. So you're not going to see him do a lot of like the crazy run blocking or like running down the field and run blocks, everything like that. I think he could be like a solid starter, like a top half of the league starter in the starting position. But the issue with him, I think, would be the price tag to get him from the Bills.
Because he is like their backup.
He's their backup center in case Connor McGovern goes down, and he was a 5th-round pick. So if we do trade for him, I think I would offer around a future 3rd or 4th.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Paying more.
That's how much I believe in him.
Yeah, I like him too. That would be something that would make way. That'd be a pretty crazy trade for a former 5th to give up a 3rd or 4th. That'd be nuts.
Yeah, a future pick. Importantly.
Future pick, yeah, future. Do you think he fits better at guard or center?
Center.
So if you're moving him to center,
You'd kick Elton to a guard spot, depending on which one you need at the time. Because I know you don't prefer Sean Ryan, but like I think he's been like serviceable, so it's not like the end of the world to get rid of him. But also, if Tom is healthy, I'd play Kennard at right guard. So I think that if you play Cedric Van Pran at guard, you are wasting one of his best qualities, which is his IQ and calling out protections and everything.
absolutely.
So you need him to be your center.
And if you haven't picked up on this, folks, one of the ways we're really saying is how we fix the offensive line is get Elton Jenkins off of the center position. That's what we're saying here. Is Elton Jenkins should not be a center.
I do think that especially mid-season trading for a center could have its own issues. Like timing, snap counts, just handoffs with Jordan and everything. Like you need to spend like 3 days like just snapping to Jordan.
Get him on the plane now. What I say.
Yeah.
I know we have one more center, and I'm not even going to try and say his name because you're probably way better at
that. So
Oluwatimi.
Oluwatimi played at Michigan in college. Yeah. He primarily played center at Michigan and did play some guard. He's 6'2", 309, so he's kind of on the smaller side. Importantly,
center.
Yeah. Importantly, won the Outland Trophy and the Remington Award while at Michigan. The Outland Trophy is the best lineman one, and I think the Remington is best interior lineman.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's both
best center.
Remington's best center.
Yeah, because Jackson Powers Johnson won it, and the Remington is the best center.
Well. Okay, but the Outland Trophy is the big one because that's both D tackles and everyone on the offensive line and everyone on the defensive line. Yeah. So he's got the pedigree.
Did he play under Harbaugh there?
He did play under Harbaugh. He was Harbaugh's guy.
Yeah, they had a very good offensive line there.
Always did. It was like the hallmark of the Harbaugh era. He has been inconsistent in Seattle, and he was replaced this year by. Actually, I don't really think he ever saw the field as their starting center. Like he came in rotationally, and when guys went down, because Jaden Sundell is their center right now, and I think he was a UDFA.
Yeah, I believe so. And then I know that like Seattle is just kind of looking to upgrade their offensive line in general too, as well.
Hmm. So you know how I was gonna offer so high of a price for Cedric Van Pran? I would not for Olu Oluwatimi. I would say sixth or seventh, maybe in the future. Just trying to get him on the roster.
Yeah, I would like that.
Mm. Because he's good with his hands. He's got high like IQ and that you look for. I think he could be a leader in the offensive line room.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. So I know we talked about what seven guys here so far. So if you had to, so we'll do it like this way. If you had to give up a draft pick, who would you give up a draft pick for? Like no questions asked.
Cedric Van Pran.
Yeah, and I would give up a draft pick easily for Jackson Powers Johnson. And then if you had to give up, like if you were trading away Sean Ryan, like you're trading away a player, if this is like a rare player for player trade, who uh who would you trade for?
Jackson Powers Johnson. I'd do that. I'd do player for player.
Oh,
Or I'd do Sean Ryan for Evan Neal and a pick.
yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna. That was mine actually. I'd do
Oh.
Sean Ryan for Evan Neal and a pick for
Great minds. Great minds.
yeah. Then they could put two former Packers linemen. You know, 'cause,
Yeah. Oh god, I forgot John Runyon's there.
yeah, John Runyon Jr. is there. So they could have
Oh my god, how did I
linemen be
forget about that?
reunited.
Yeah.
So I there are like I'll just kind of briefly hit these two as well.
Yeah.
The free agent market for offensive linemen is
Quite poor.
abs yeah, it is rough to say the least. I mean, it was even rough for it's rough for defensive tackle, which we'll talk about next. I mean,
Hmm.
like there's 3 Eagles linemen that are out there. One of them is
Really?
yeah, one of them's one of them's Jack Driscoll. He's a former 4th round pick. He's versatile. He's played everywhere. He's coming off of an ankle injury. This would be kind of again cheap, flexible depth. And then there's Nick Gates, center for the Eagles. Raven Clark, he's 32. That's not going to happen. Brendan Sheriff
Hmm.
retired. Shaq Mason got cut by the horrible Texans offensive line. So that's telling you where he's at in his career, and he's 32. Jedrick Willis, like I would love to sign Jedrick Willis. I don't think he wants to sign. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play football ever again.
I think he'll try to get back on a team next year, but like a team's gonna take a shot at him for sure next year. I think this year he's just like so many injuries have built up at his time in Cleveland that he's resting the year, and then he'll use again former Bama guy. He'll be like, hey, I played here, first round pick. Let me get back to playing my best football, and some team will take a shot on him.
Yeah, I just don't even know if he likes playing football.
Oh, was he one of those guys?
Yeah, he was very much
Yeah.
one of those guys. Cause like, he had made some comments where he he very much viewed football as a job versus, like, a passion,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
I feel like if you're in the NFL and you wanna be the best and you wanna be consistent, it has to be more than just a job. You have to be passionate
Hmm.
about it, and I don't think Jedrick Willis is passionate about playing football, and that's kinda why he's choosing to sit out for the rest of 2025 just to kinda figure out where he's at and see if this
I
is
know how
something he
you
really wants
I
to
know
do.
how you mentioned Eagles offensive lineman. Is Jason Peters still kicking around or is he
No, I think Jason
pulling?
Peters is retired, yeah.
Okay.
And then I know, like, Isaiah Wynn's out of there in Miami, but Miami has a bad offensive line, and Isaiah Wynn is a horrid pass blocker, and everyone else is just they're no better than who you have now. In fact, they're probably
Yeah.
worse. Realistically, if I'm the Packers, I mean, I'm looking at Evan Neal, I'm bothering for Jackson Powers Johnson. I think that you really have to look into consideration, okay, how can I get Elton Jenkins back to a position that he's more comfortable in or to make this offensive line succeed? I know that a lot of people are coming back and they should be healthy now too. So it is going to be interesting to see how well if the offensive line can play as well as it did week 1 and week 2 with Zach Tom coming back from that oblique injury now, hopefully. And
I think he'll be back from that one.
yeah, he should be. He should be good to go. Like I said, he did practice today, and we're really fortunate there. Like, unfortunately, though, Devontae Wyatt did get injured in our last game versus the Cowboys. And so you kind of have a defensive line that's a little bit in flux right here because they today as well brought in 5 guys. They worked out 5 defensive tackles, which doesn't tend to bode well for.
No, he's probably going to miss some time.
Yeah, that's including the bye week here.
Hmm. So do you want to list off those defensive tackles and we start there, or do you want to kind of start with like trade candidates and then we'll move into these guys?
I'll just get one trade candidate out of the way. It's not going to happen. Might as
Yeah,
well
let's get this
just
one out of the way.
just dump it out. Dexter Lawrence. We're not going to trade for him. He's way too expensive. Would be awesome because that would be a disgusting defensive line with him and Devontae Wyatt. Once Devontae Wyatt got
Madden
healthy.
defensive line there, eh?
Yeah, exactly. That's a cheat code. That's not going to happen. I mean, we're talking. That's he's probably going to get traded for like first round picks, that sort of a thing. So
Yeah, I saw a thing that said they trade for multiple first round picks and then give him a deal similar to what Micah got from the Packers. And I was like, whoa, okay.
yeah,
Like I was like, I know he's like the best defensive tackle in football, but like that's a bit much. There's like one defensive tackle that I would pay more than like $30 million a year, maybe
I know.
two.
I know, right? We'll get him out of the way. Yeah, so that's not going to happen. But the Packers did bring in a couple guys here. Uh,
If you list them off, I can talk about them.
yeah, my favorite guy was Fabian Lovett out of Florida State. I really liked him.
He's good. I think he started his career at Mississippi State before transferring to FSU. I think he played his best football at FSU, earning 2 all ACC honorable mentions. What I think with him is he's very strong. I think he did like 25 or something bench press reps at his pro day. Very strong upper body, quite heavy handed. You hear the phrase meat hooks sometimes in terms of like defensive tackles with like big hands who can move people. He's got those meat hooks. What I do think his issue is, I'm going to talk briefly about the issues and then I'll go back to like what I think he can do well is he plays with a really high pad level. Like you'll see him, he'll get out of the snap and he'll pretty much like just stand up and kind of walk forward the offensive lineman, which gives up his leverage, and then he's kind of really relying on his strength to push the offensive lineman back.
Which is, I feel like that's pretty fixable too, as well. I'm just
It,
surprised
it
he
is
hasn't
pretty
fixed it
fixable,
yet.
yeah. And then also too is like his burst pass rush wise, like off the line and the lateral quickness isn't quite there or at the level that you would hope for to be like a good pass rusher in the league. But I think that he can really anchor down and eat double teams, not be moved. Against the run, he's really good as a run defender. He can get anything that comes in the A or B gap pretty much.
I think that was one of the issues too with this Packers defensive line is that Colby Wooden is not exactly the greatest nose tackle in the world. Nazir
Yeah,
Stackhouse needs some development there, and then you have to kind of figure out what we still have to figure out what we have in Warren Brinson.
that's another thing too that I'll touch on after I get through the next guy, the next couple guys. Is would we rather sign them or just like develop Warren? That's kind of like my
And speaking of next guy, Omari Thomas, Tennessee. Again, we love our SEC schools.
yeah. Sorry, if you want to be a good football player, go down south. So, was he a team captain? He was a team captain there.
Yeah, Omari Thomas. Yeah, a lot of leadership experience.
Okay, that's good. You like to see that.
Yeah, definitely has the leadership experience, which the Packers do like.
Hmm.
And then another reoccurring issue that seems to be happening here is he plays too tall as well.
Yeah, I think that's like with this D line group that they brought in is like, well, they play tall, but wow, they're strong. But also, Mari Thomas, younger guy. I think he's 23, 22, 23.
Yeah, yeah. It's not as
I'm gonna
yeah.
say I'm gonna lean 23. He's pretty good off the interior. He's good at batting down passes, I guess, because he plays with that higher pad level. He's good at really pushing the pocket back at his weight too, because he is on the larger side. I can't remember. I think he's around 320.
I believe that
I
Omari
will
Thomas is around 299 is what he weighed in at the combine, which kind of makes sense because
Tennessee is lying to us then. Holy.
y-
I think they had
college
him listed at
lying.
322.
What? Hard to
Yeah.
believe. Yeah, and like that kind of like now that I think about it too, like that does make sense because on third down and short, like he wasn't always the greatest, and he does have trouble anchoring at times. So he would he would be a little bit better of a pass rusher than he would be.
A run
Um,
defender.
yeah, yeah. And I got like Fabian Lovett. I got Eddie Goldman vibes. A little throwback there.
Yeah,
And
I think that also to a lot of his issues is just the way that Florida State teaches defensive tackles to play the position.
yeah, they're definitely Florida State's better at training defensive backs right now.
Yeah, because when you look at Fabian Levitt's film and then you turn on who was the guy the Patriots drafted this year? Farmer?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Joshua
was
Farmer.
Farmer. And you turn on Joshua Farmer. They're almost the identical player. Like almost. But just Farmer was a way better pass rusher. And then going back to Amari Thomas, probably you'd have to bulk up a little bit because I think at 299 he's the same kind of role as Carl Brooks would be.
Yeah, or even Colby Wooden at this point too.
Even Colby wouldn't. And then moving on to the next guy they brought in, Tommy. Oh, this last name is gonna trip me up. Tommy Akingbasote from Maryland. He again is another athletic run defender who has pass rush capabilities. I think I saw watching the limited film I could find on him. One of his best pass rushing reps came off of rushing a tackle, which is
Wow,
surprising to
that's
say.
impressive.
Yeah, he had good length, and that rep was able to stack and shed, kind of like swim move off the tackle and get in and hit the QB. You still need him to get like that consistency on the inside off of double teams or taking even like a chip from an alignment, and then again being able to just kind of like hold the line and not get pushed back because he does have the tendency to kind of lose positioning on run defense or guess wrong and then get moved out of the way. But he did block a kick in college and has some pretty good special teams capabilities here, which I think we could use all the help we could get for that. But I do think he needs some more like functional strength and better technique in run defense.
Yeah, he was a draft pick too. This year's
Yeah,
draft, he was a
seventh
seventh
round to
round pick.
the Cowboys.
So again, he was good enough to get picked. It's just
Hmm.
he's not on a practice squad right now, which is kind of unfortunate. Because
Right.
like I do like the pass rush upside there. It's just kind of a matter of what you kind of like. What are you looking for? Are you looking for more of a run stuffer? Because like I do think that like he is kind of versatile. Tommy King Basote. I think that he is like versatile. He could penetrate in the interior, and like with Wyatt gone, like you're kind of missing that maybe a little bit more than you'd like. That'd be interesting to kind of see how that
I
plays out
think
there.
that's I think Carl Brooks is going to get a lot of play soon.
Yeah, most
I think
likely
they're going to be
there,
like, "Hey Carl, go like just go hunt. We'll stick Nas next to you to try and stop the run as best you can."
or one of these guys if they sign him.
Yeah. The only other run defender I would say is Keandre Coburn.
Yeah,
Big dude out of Texas.
Keandre Coburn is kind of interesting. Like he's a little shorter,
Yeah, he's a shorter defensive end.
yeah, than what the Packers typically like. You know, because they typically go 6'3", 6'4". their defensive tackles. He has the pedigree. Like he's a former top 50 national recruit, and he started all 4 years at Texas. He's had Big 12
That's
honors.
good, especially with some of the guys that he was playing with.
Very big nose tackle, like very very nose tackle esque type dude. Like he's very
Hmm.
thick, very powerful presence on the inside.
Big dude in there for first and second down. Like you never see him in on third down.
No, yeah, because he's tired. He wears out a little quick. Like he does wear out a little quickly, I would say, but like he'll give you everything he has on first and second down. He can struggle at times during versus double teams, and then I know that there were some tackling issues as well. But I think for the Packers, if they want to, because you have a lot of guys on that in the defensive tackle room right now that are very pass rush orientated.
You have two, I think, 1.5 in my opinion, of
Well,
guys who are pass rush oriented.
Brooks is pass rush orientated. Wyatt, when he was healthy, pass rush
Oh
orientated.
yeah, I forgot
Uh,
we're keeping Wyatt in this conversation. I was
yeah.
assuming that we were just thinking that he was out and on like injured reserve for like 4 weeks. Sorry. With Wyatt, you have 2.5.
Yeah. Colby Wooden. Colby Wooden was the defensive
No,
end. Yes.
Colby Wooden is just no. He cannot do anything well at the defensive tackle
Well, I
position.
know. I agree with that. I agree. I do not like Colby Wooden, but like for
the sake of this exercise, yes.
the he's supposed to be pass rush orientated.
Yeah. I think Warren was the half to me. It was like he's like half run defender, half pass rusher. Like he's like half
Yeah.
of that. So
It's like a third. It's like a third. Third
mm,
run, third pass rush, and third. I don't know what we have right now, just because
yeah.
he hasn't played. You don't really know what you have there.
So going who would you sign out of these four that we've talked about?
I mean, it's tough because you probably want a guy who can pass rush. That's what I think they might look for. No, no, I don't think they're gonna look for that. I changed my mind, and the reason I say that is because Nazir Stackhouse was very inconsistent on the at stopping the run. And I think that if you want to stop on like 4th and 1, if you're gearing up to stop the tush push here moving forward, because we do play the Eagles coming up, as
Right.
well as like goal line stand type stuff, I do think you want a guy who has a better anchor and who has pretty solid gap control and can actually eat double teams. So I would say Fabian Lovett would be my first choice here. And then Keandre Coburn would be my second choice.
Okay.
Keandre's a very close second to King Basura. He's very
Hmm.
close. Like I could honestly flip those, but I would definitely go with uh Fabian Lovett here first and foremost, just because of the fact that out of all these guys, I kind of felt he does give a little hint as TJ Slayton, and he's very kind of puts his hand in the dirt, so to speak, and isn't afraid to get dirty and do what needs to be done to stop the run. You know, like
Hmm.
he is a very good anchor, and he has that draft pedigree. I would definitely go with Fabian Lovett. What about you?
Yeah, I would agree with you with signing Fabian Lovett because I think he is already he like walks in the as probably one of their best run defenders in the defensive tackle position, and then can be taught to pass rush well.
Now,
Can we do a quick little aside? I'm of the opinion where it's like, yeah, we could sign one, but I'd rather just see what we have with Warren. Like, I'd rather just play Warren than signing any of these people.
yeah, I could see that argument. I do think that if the Packers wanted to, though, they could move Nazir Stackhouse to the practice squad this year,
Probably.
and then kind of go from there and then sign one of these guys that'll have a little bit more immediate impact, a little bit more of a, at least on paper anyways, a consistent impact right now, especially with a guy like Fabian Lovett.
But with Wyatt on out, let's say he goes to IR, would you say that would be likely?
Oh, if White goes to IR, they're signing somebody, 100%.
Yeah. So I think they brought these guys in to just see like if when in doubt if White goes on IR that they'll bring in one in because they can't roll with 4D tackles.
No, no, and I don't really like any of the guys on the practice squad right now for us.
Do we
Um,
have practice squad defensive tackles? Isn't
yeah, I
oh
think James
it's
Eater,
James Esther
Esther.
or Esther and then like no one else. Yeah, okay.
So I'm like whatever kind of a thing. I'd very much just rather sign a guy.
Yeah, I'd
I
rather
mean, if I
bring bottom
had
11
to
in.
like trade for somebody though, I mean
There are dudes who we'll talk about now.
yeah, I mean Dexter Lawrence. Obviously, we already said that's not an option.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
First kind of guy that I do kind of like. He's rotational. He's a solid run defender on an affordable contract. Jordan Elliott. He's 28. He's a former third round pick of the Browns. Like I said, he is with the Niners. He again limited pass rush impact. He could definitely slot in as a rotational defensive tackle right away. I mean, he's familiar with the Salah system right now, being in with the Niners, and then very much a short yardage specialist kind of a guy. And then another guy who Packers fans should be very familiar with is a gentleman by the name of Shelby Harris.
Oh no.
And the reason is we should be familiar with that is because he blocked the field goal for us when we played the Browns this year. Which,
Yeah,
yeah, that was not fun. Shelby Harris is older. I think he's like, what, 33, 34.
at least
Yeah, he's
maybe
definitely older.
35. Definitely
Yeah,
older. He's been around the
def
block a couple times.
yeah. So that's definitely a patchwork kind of. I don't know what Wyatt's gonna. I don't know what's gonna happen with Wyatt. I don't really know, but I want somebody who can play special teams as well and can just kind of get us by until Wyatt comes back. So I'd like again, very low cost to pick him up. Probably like a conditional seventh, if anything. Like, and that's saying much for a conditional seventh, just kind of given where the Browns are at and such. Um, a gentleman who I think that you probably want to talk a little bit about, Zeke Biggers.
Ooh, yes, I'll take this one. Fan of his coming out this year from Georgia Tech. Miami took him in the 7th, right? Pretty much almost like the Mr. Irrelevant territory, but absolutely massive defensive tackle, 6'5", 321. He's got the length that you look for, and he knows how to anchor well. I think you saw his best game out of him was that overtime thriller against Georgia. We watched this game.
That dude.
um,
Yeah, Zeke Biggers popped off on that film.
dude, it was just you saw him no matter what you were looking at there. He's one of those players who can, especially at the nose tackle position, just take over a game.
Well, I think it's important to note too that like he didn't do any agility testing, but
That is true.
for a guy who is 6'5", 321, a 9.8 RAS score.
That is craziness.
Yeah.
Do we know what his 40 time was?
Yeah, for a dude his size, he ran a 5.0940.
Wow, that is almost Jordan Davis levels of craziness with
Yeah.
athletically.
Yeah. Yeah, it was I think the Packers did bring him in and take a look at him at one point. They did meet with him.
Yeah, I think that he has experience because I believe he was in Georgia Tech for a while. Situationally, can be an insane pass rusher because he's not like he won't beat the defender clean or the offensive line clean, but he will push double teams back. He'll push offensive linemen back. He'll get his hands up to block passes, and even when he does beat them clean, oh boy, does he beat them clean.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to love about Zeke Biggers there. I mean, if I had to trade for a guy,
It would be
I
him
think it.
because he's young.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
young. Packers like him. I think there's a lot to like there, and Miami's just a bad football team.
Mm-hmm. There could be some changes. I don't know if he would be on there. Like it's kind of the thing where it's like, oh, maybe he'll be like on their thing to keep around because he's relatively inexpensive.
Yeah, that's what I kind of wonder too. And they need all the help they can get general. So that would be interesting to see if they'd be willing to give up, to give him up. And I mean, there are a couple guys too. Like Zeke Biggers is unfortunately he's not on the practice squad. Otherwise, I would have signed him
No,
off the practice
yesterday.
squad yesterday.
There are some practice squad guys, true, yeah.
There's a couple practice squad guys. Yeah.
Talk about some guys. I believe Jordan Phillips was on the Bills practice squad at the start of the season. I do not believe he's on there currently. I think he might have been signed off by the Bills, like he might be on their active roster right now.
It still says he's on the practice squad.
Okay. So the con with him is that he is 33. So he
And I'm
is quite old. I don't think he wants to leave Buffalo. I think he's happy where he is, which is unfortunate because we'd like you in Green Bay, sir. But great, he would be a great for run defense, kind of fill that space eater role there. Another person on the Bills practice squad, a name I'm sure you're familiar with, is Zion Logue.
Hello. Yeah, I did like him coming out.
Yeah. Another rotational interior defensive line, situational run defense. It's kind of what you're hoping to get out of him, with maybe a little bit of pass rush, but he's very much shades of Nazir Stackhouse.
I mean, 6'6", almost what 320.
Yeah, he did play with high pad level though. Again,
Yeah,
it's like a lot of these college defensive tackles. It's like they're just standing up pretty much.
they literally are, and I know like that can be a little harder for guys who are taller and larger too as well.
Mhm.
Like the inclination,
Like that was what Deion Walker's issue coming out too. The guy was massive. It was just like, oh yeah, he just gets up too quick. Hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, I mean, Shades in his year, I'd say he's a little bit more refined than
Oh,
Nas
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and then like I know the Chiefs, there's Broderick Martin. That's another dude. I mean, 6'5", 330. Again, just powerful run stuffing interior offensive lineman. Another guy who's kind of a rotational 3 tech, um, Junior Tafuna. He's on the
Okay.
Texans right now. A little bit, again, a little bit shorter though, right on the cusp, like the Packers like between that 6'3" and 6'4" kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like he did have all Pac-12 honors, not as good as the SEC, but still,
Mm,
like there is some
not quite
developmental.
there.
Not quite there yet, exactly. There's definitely some developmental potential there. I think kind of like juniors, like maybe you can kind of plug him in rotationally, get some stuff, and then now and in the future to be able to rotate him. Another guy I did like though, Cam Horsley. He's on the Titans
Yeah, I liked him
practice
too.
squad, and
I liked
does
him
have
too
the
coming out this
Halfley
year.
connection.
Yeah, he was a Halfley guy at BC, eh?
Yes, he was. So I did like Cam Horsley. He again is just one of those guys where he's a solid tackler, and I think he can very much be a backup right away.
Mm-hmm. He was pretty good against the
For
run,
us.
though. I remember watching his film. Like, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I mean he had a solid RAS score too.
Mm-hmm.
8.54 out of 10. The athleticism is there. There's very much some solid athleticism that you'd like to see that the Packers like to see. It's just one of the issues was he does need some refinement against like move blocking schemes.
Right.
He can kind of struggle there as well. But I do think, like you said, he can come in right away and at the very least, help on the run. And I'll always take a guy who can tackle solidly.
True.
Like that's just something that is just a nice thing
That'll
to have.
you'll be able to keep a job by being able to tackle solidly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, what do you think out of all these guys here in the DT, like if you had to trade for or sign on the practice squad, who are your top two? Like to sign to practice squad and or trade for?
I feel like we have missed a considerable elephant in a small room
Oh, the
in
free
terms of
agents.
free agent.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
almost forgot about the free agents. Yeah. Let's take a look at the weird guy.
Build his own locker room if he comes here, please.
Yeah, Christian
Yeah.
Wilkins. I mean, it just depends on that foot injury with Christian Wilkins. You know,
Didn't they say he could play this year?
I heard he was getting a second opinion.
to play this year. That's what I was like, yeah.
For those of you who don't know, but Christian Wilkins was released.
From the Raiders after signing a massive deal because of a foot injury and kissing a teammate on the head, allegedly.
Multiple teammates, from what I've heard.
Oh,
and
allegedly again. But
then somebody went to HR. So that's how bad it got.
rightly
A
so.
football player went to HR. I don't know what's
Um,
going on with him in terms of his foot. I haven't heard anything in like when it comes to an update on him. And I've looked, like I check periodically about him. I know he dealt with the same thing as Jaden Reed, and it's a Jones fracture.
ooh. And Jaden was gonna try and play through his.
Yeah. So I don't know if he got surgery or not on it, because as far as I'm concerned, you have to get surgery on that,
Yeah.
get that fixed. He did end up getting surgery, but it's been a long and challenging recovery that extended past. So there might have
Oh.
been some relapses there. Well, just in terms of, but like like the thing is though is like before he got after he got released, there were videos of coming out of him doing stuff, doing footwork stuff, messing with some of his teammates and working out. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, I would love to sign him just to clear out a janitor's
Mm,
closet and make it his own locker room. But if he wants to be a rotational guy at the very least, like I think that he'd be very cheap on a vet. You could easily get him on a veteran minimum contract, and
yeah.
he could come in and stop the run. I think he's what, 29, right?
He's a really good pass rusher too.
Yeah. He'd probably need, yeah, he is 29. So it's not like he's like 33 or 34, and
Hmm.
he turns
You can
30
get a
in
couple
December.
years out of him. A couple serviceable seasons out of him. Yeah, but going back to before that, if I was gonna trade for anybody, I would probably trade for Zeke and then sign Fabian Lovett or someone like Cam Horsley or Zion Logue. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I'd probably say Zeke Biggers is probably like the guy. If I'm giving up draft capital for, like easily Zeke Biggers would be the guy.
I would also sign Broderick Martin too. Forgot about that from the
Yeah,
Chiefs
I
practice squad.
yeah, I probably like Cam Horsley a bit more than Broderick Martin.
That
Um,
yeah
just easily there. This is so tough because like the free agent market is absolutely barren, just like the off. It's,
yeah it's
it's
not
crazy
there.
to me just to see how barren the offensive line market and the defensive line market have been this year.
Shows you
You
what's
know,
important in today's NFL.
thank you. You can thank the Eagles for that.
Hmm.
Like they show what it takes. You got to have a really great defensive line, and so anybody who's anybody does get signed.
Yeah, you need to win up
Um,
front in order to win games. So
yeah, absolutely. And I know for like we'll see what happens here coming out of the bye week, just with the Packers and such. Uh, to see what they prioritize. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they traded like out of all of the options that are available, like we talked about last episode in terms of like looking at defensive backs, and then this one looking at the trenches here. If I had to guess who they would most likely trade for, I would say they're most likely to trade for a cornerback over like an offensive or defensive lineman. I feel like they would
yeah, I
sign
see that.
you know, they'd be more likely to
Hmm.
sign a street free agent than
Especially when there's some good street free agents out there.
yeah, who fit your need right now. And with Wilkins still out there, like I very much would be I would very much rather not give up draft capital to a degree, to go unless it is for Zeke Biggers, but like Jordan Elliott, I don't really want to sign Jordan or trade for Jordan Elliott. I don't really want Shelby Harris because of his age and such. So, and obviously Dexter Lawrence is not an option. I mean, I wouldn't mind Fabian Lovett or Cam Horsley or Christian Wilkins. Like, I think those are kind of your three options that if you're going to sign somebody, either off of a practice squad or on the street, like that's who I would look at for sure. And offensive line, I just get a center, man. I know there might be some
I
growing
think it
pains.
would be the easiest problem to
Yeah,
solve. Yeah,
yeah. Like if you want to win a Super Bowl, just I don't care. Go. I'd give up a second for Jackson Powers Johnson at this point. Got to fix the offensive line. Hopefully, coming out of the bye week, we'll talk about this more in our next episode as we look as the Packers take on a banged up Bengals team. A Burrow. Should I call it? I think it's more accurate to say a Burrowless Bengals team.
Burrowless Bengals team. Well, I think they're pretty hurt though. Like they've got some.
Yeah, they've had some like I mean their quarterback's obviously the biggest thing, and we'll talk about that. Hopefully, we'll get some more updates here on the Packers injuries. Christian Watson did practice today as well, Monday. That's awesome to see. I don't know if he'll play this game, but I feel like you might be able to get him out there in a couple snaps. I'm just not so sure.
Maybe. I don't know if you want to, but like you could.
That's like Adrian Peterson recovery from his ACL. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I hope everything, man, like getting Christian Watson out there again. I'll talk
Changed
about.
so
I'll stop
much for
talking.
the offense.
It will. I'll stop talking about this because I'll go on my rant in the next episode about
Mhm.
it. Just how influential it'll be. But that'll be the next episode. This will come out. That'll come out on Friday, and we'll get ready for the game on Sunday. That is all, folks. Until next time.
To Packers fans coast to coast, thanks for going beyond the frozen tundra. We appreciate you tuning in. And as always, go Pack Go!